advisors don't invest enough in marketing.
Yeah.
Was it 5 to 10% of your revenue is going to marketing? That's not enough.
Less than that.
I feel like it's less for the average.
Like 3% is going to marketing.
How do you expect to compete when marketing is the most important thing you do in a business, in my opinion? Like, you have to have a good product and then you have to have somebody selling it. But without marketing, none of that is even going to matter.
Emily, welcome back. How are you doing?
Great. It's good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. And now we got new digs. You're in the new studio.
Yeah, I love it.
It's been a long time and you've been up to a lot. Just reintroduce yourself to our audience in case they don't know you or if they didn't watch the first video.
Well, I'm Emily Binder, and I'm the founder of Beetle Moment Marketing and Wealth Voice. So I've been doing marketing and tech and content in financial services for about 8 years. Both of those companies kind of play together. One's a consultancy agency, and the other one is a SaaS marketing platform to share your voice on assistants like Alexa.
Amazing, amazing. Will is my marketing genius in-house, right? So I thought that this would be an interesting conversation between you two because 8 years is a long time and so much has changed in 8 years. So why don't we start there? Like, what's changed or what are you excited about in the financial services marketing atmosphere right now?
I think that the tools to create content have gotten democratized. It's a lot easier. There's a more informal language that's become accessible to people. Like, if you look at people on TikTok talking about personal finance, ever since COVID, like 50% of, I think, Gen Z will go to TikTok before anywhere else to look at financial questions or info. When I started doing this, it was still, you had to convince advisors why social media was a good investment.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm doing a steak dinner and I send out direct mail and it's going fine. And now more people understand the importance of that organic marketing and content investment.
What hasn't changed?
Ooh, great question.
The importance of the brand and the trust and the personal connection. The importance of the brand is actually, I would say, more so now because with the democratization of tools and creating content with AI, things like that, everybody can do it, but they all look and sound the same still, which was always the challenge.
So when you say the brand, like, I know what that means, but there may be listeners who aren't as tuned in. Like, when you say brand, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the way that people perceive your company, your product, your service, and it's not the same as just the logo, right? That's what people might think. It's really a feeling. It lives in the subconscious. Seth Godin defined brand as the delta between you and your competitors, all things being equal. So it's something it's a perception of adjectives or attributes or things like, are they prestigious? Are they trustworthy? Are they competent? Are they consistent?
Is that the delta in the mind of the prospective customer? Or just, hey, we do this differently from this company? I guess if nobody knows the difference, who cares?
I think it's all in the mind of the customer.
I agree.
And even the internal employees, right? So anybody that's perceiving who you are, what you stand for, what you do, why are you different from the competitor? And then the marketing is where you're able to reach people and express that brand. So the marketing is where people kind of get the feeling of the brand.
Can you talk to me about some of your favorite companies outside of finance maybe that do that you're like, this brand inspires trust or competency, luxury, that hit it.
We love that.
She like the luxury. But like, which brands do that really well at a high level for you?
There's some beauty brands that I think do a good job. You guys wouldn't know them. That's not going to be a good answer for this audience.
With this argument.
Well, luxury brands. I mean, when you look at cars, this is interesting. So I was on a podcast, the Beancast, talking about Jaguar, where they're trying to become more like a Rolls Royce and go a little more up market, but they paused all the cars this year. They're going to charge more and be more like Rolls Royce.
It's like a great Gatsby looking car.
Yeah, which is interesting because what we're also seeing right now is that loud luxury is out. Like, why did the Workin sell out? Anyone that doesn't know, that was the Walmart Birkin. And you look at Bethany Frankel with Chanel Gate. So the interesting thing is in financial services, how does that translate? Like, is somebody going to wear $1,000 baseball cap just like Kendall Roy, that doesn't have a logo on it, because that's actually cooler. It's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Quiet luxury. That's kind of an interesting trend in the way that you kind of talk about your firm. If you're going after high net worth or ultra high net worth, like I produced Tiger 21's podcast with Michael Sonnenfeld, and that whole audience, like the stakeholders that they're going after, are ultra high net worth people that have experienced a liquidity event or an inheritance, like a windfall, hashtag sudden wealth, things like that, or just trying to manage money that's been in the family for a long time.
What I kind of think about from the perspective of the advisor, like the whole concept of this brand that you touched on in the beginning was like the differentiators. And you're absolutely right. Like what hasn't changed is the challenge of speaking about the services that you provide in a way that feels differentiated from everything else that's out there. So let's say the services may be relatively similar across holistic financial planning and like personalization. It's, personalization and all this and that and the other thing. So like, how do they communicate differentiation if the services are relatively
The same.
similar?
Well, there's the answer, which is niche down. So we don't just do retirement planning, we do it for dentists or pilots, right? That's an okay answer. But I was just looking this up, Will, to your point. This Broadridge study found that 64% of investors say financial advisors all sound the same. I think they mostly look the same too. So this may be a controversial statement because a lot of people that listen.
Mustache.
Okay, I like it. When you're using certain tools that are canned content, off the shelf, ready-made website, okay, you're gonna look and sound the same as everybody else.
Correct.
I wanna draw attention to an REA that these are some guys that I met at Future Proof Citywide. It's called Downtown Wealth Studios. I really love what these guys are doing because if you go on their website, it basically looks like Steve Jobs did it. Or Johnny Ive. Like, it's beautiful, it's artistic, it's different. And the product is similar. It's financial planning, right? It's investment management. It's going to be similar, but the way that you express it, people feel kind of the way that you would be to work with or to hire, what you value. So the website is so important, right? 75% of people judge a company's credibility based on website design. Advisors don't invest enough in marketing.
Yeah.
Was it 5 to 10% of your revenue is going to marketing? That's not enough.
Less than that.
I feel like it's less for the average.
Like 3% is one of my.
How do you expect to compete when marketing is the most important thing you do in a business, in my opinion? Like, you have to have a good product and then you have to have somebody selling it. But without marketing, none of that is even going to matter. So website, right? Like, get a freaking awesome website.
All roads lead to the website ultimately, right?
Yeah.
It's like you could be just, you're across different channels, whether that's social or even like, a lot of firms do Facebook ads, sending people to events, but it's like at a certain point, the person who's interested in what you're offering is going to go to your website.
I want to dig in on this Downtown Wealth Studios because you lit up when you said that.
I love what they've done. I've posted about them on LinkedIn. I'm like, we're friendly. I've talked to them a few times and I'm like,
so I don't know
you guys stand out.
I don't know if they work with Altruist or not, right? But I want to, like, what work does an advisor have to do to be comfortable expressing themselves differently from the herd?
It's a risk.
Because that is the conversation that we have to have. If you are trying to stand out from the herd, you can't wear a blue suit, blue tie, white shirt. You have to do something different. And it seems like they're doing something different. So with your marketing brains, tell me how an advisor can listen to this and say like, hey, I am artistic or I am innovative and I should pour that into my brand. What work does that advisor have to do?
You have to be willing to take the risk with it. And probably most people aren't. And this is why most people will be in the middle of the bell curve and will be average. And that's fine. You could still make money being average.
Yeah.
Not everybody's meant to do what they're doing. And, they're also fairly new. Who knows if it's going to work? I think it will.
Yeah.
But it is a risk.
Sounds like it stands out in a way that is aligned with what the person they're trying to attract is looking for, or at least, that person is looking for the thing that is different from everything they're seeing. I do want to call out like a couple easy wins for advisors with websites. The most conversion alpha comes from testimonials.
Oh, yes.
Like, hands down, if you're going to do anything on your website that you're not currently doing today, go source some testimonials and put them right below that initial screen, that hero section. Like, that is a surefire, and I probably shouldn't say surefire, is a great way to increase conversion on your site is that social proof. The other thing that I think is worth calling out is the use of that initial screen, which we, marketers, we call that the hero screen, right? It's like when they land on your website, the first thing they see without any scroll is the hero section. And so one of the sort of like the copywriting influencers that I follow, and is a friend of mine, his name is Eddie Schleiner, and he has some great content for all the aspiring copywriters out there. But one of his core concepts is like this idea of that headline on your site needs to convey a future promise. It's the idea of, okay, if I work with this person, what does my life look like? And the subhead, which is just that little bit of text that goes underneath the big bit of text, should capture sort of like the benefits of working in that world. So I think between a future promise, conveying some of those benefits, and you're not just saying like holistic financial planning, right? And then using testimonials. You don't need to be a great designer to increase conversion on your website.
So Will, give us an example of that for the advisors that are watching. So give us a future promise and a subtext. Let's use one of the advisors that we have, maybe a James Canole or something.
Yeah, I think the one that just immediately comes to mind is like Taylor Schulte's site. You finally have a tax smart retirement plan.
Yeah.
Or like, and of course he uses like a picture of some retirees that sort of builds
having fun,
a little bit of qualification of like, okay, this is me and this is what I get, a tax smart retirement plan. Like, we can get into some more of the minutia of like the strategies that he uses on his website if we care to. I suggest checking out Define Financial just for like an example of what a site that converts really well looks like. And I think Taylor Schulte is great. I don't think the design on that site is amazing. I think it's okay, but the copy is incredibly strong, and that typically will carry the bulk of the water for websites.
Right. This is an anecdote. I think it's kind of funny. It relates to what you said. I was reading this article called The Bald Manifesto. My friend Mitch sent me, who's bald. And there's this line in it, which is like, be confident enough to know that your face alone can carry the weight of your head. Like without hair, right? So what you're saying is the copy alone can carry the weight of the website. It doesn't need to be a beautiful, like altruist brand, right? It needs to be good enough, but the copy is so important. And that's what people read. Like you said, you want the aspirational, it's who do you want your customer to become? Like Disney princess. That's why they sold so much, because they realized little girls want to become a princess. So everything is embedded and merchandised toward that aspirational state, I'm a princess.
I just want to give a shout out to the bald people listening to this show. Like, your face can carry the weight of your head.
Yeah.
That's a powerful sentiment.
It's not an easy task.
It's like an ongoing joke between me and my boyfriend where I'm like, your face can carry the weight of your head.
My dad's bald. I'm going to have to hit him with that one at some point.
So let's talk about advisors now, right? So like, what have you seen lately? Like, it talked about downtown wealth, but like, what are the common pitfalls that advisors are making? Obviously, website is one. Let's talk about the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, relying on canned content that is being carbon copied and other people are using. Some people think, well, I don't want to invest in marketing, so I'll at least do this. It's phoning in a little bit. It's better than nothing. But to me, when you look at the importance of brand, that is a mistake. And I think it's worth investing in. And I've seen my clients who just doing short form video. Yeah. Like, here's an example. I have a client in Houston who is a CPA, CFP, financial advisor. He's a wonderful guy. He's got this great kind of quirky personality, and he's really smart, and he's actually good on video. And I said, why don't we just do an unpodcast for you? Which you don't need to do a full-blown podcast like this. Most people can't carry the weight of the podcast like you guys. And so,
why, thank you.
Yeah, let's just get you on Riverside and I'll produce you and like feed you hooks and prompts and stats and make a bunch of clips. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need to do once a week. Mm-hmm. So we know that there's a stat, I was just looking at this, 47% of buyers view 3 to 5 pieces of content before deciding to work with a financial advisor. That's from Demand Gen Report. Yeah. So you have to be putting out that content and you have to be yourself. By the way, everybody's like AI avatars. Let me just dupe myself in Descript, dub my voice, dub my likeness. Please don't, because it's the uncanny valley. It's the last thing you want to do when you're dealing with a considered purchase.
Yeah, I think the deeper question is like, what is a touch worth, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, you're sending the canned newsletter. is anyone reading that? And if they do, what's the point? Or you're sending the Loom video of like, hey, either we're doing this thing, we're looking at this, we've noticed this thing in the market, we want to reassure you in some way, or whatever the scenario may be, where it's like it's your face talking about a thing that the person cares about. It's relevant. It's timely. Like a touch like that is so much more valuable than the sort of phoning it in touch. And fortunately, like it's becoming easier than it's ever been to do it.
Right. I think back to the basics of what you're talking about with the website, Will, you have to look at the real pain point. And a lot of it is, most of it's emotional. It's not about returns. We don't need to talk about numbers that much. Like what keeps you up at night? If we're talking generational wealth, are you worried you're going to mess up your kids when you leave them all this money? Are there ways to slowly give them the money before you die, which is actually smarter from a tax perspective most of the time with gifts? I mean, talking about things like that resonate. I think anything local, like I have a client in Washington State, and there's this thing called the Washington State estate tax. So if your net worth, I think the number's like 3 million. If it's over that, if you don't handle your planning accordingly, let's say you leave your spouse with 5, they'll only get 3. The state's taking 2. Like you have to do this correctly. So things that are really helpful and specific. This is also something that's changed over the last several years, which is, you guys know zero-click content works. Just give them the information, do it in the, don't download my white paper to find out the rest of my secrets. No one has the patience for it because this is TikTok culture. Even for people over 50, the culture is for everybody of zero-click
value now.
Value.
I have a hard time with that. Like, I definitely don't think people should throw away the email capture opportunities. You can do both, where it's like give away tons of value. There should be a path for them to get more of your content, right? And that's where it's like, hey, you see a lot of people who are active on social media who are succeeding there. There's always that light, low-risk call to action that's like, either follow me or I have a newsletter where I talk exactly about these things. The point is to provide this benefit to this audience. You can subscribe here. And I think the email, like the social media platforms are amazing, but like for nurturing and converting, like email, I still think is like kind of very much at the top there.
But you're right, because as much as we all hate email, it is the gold standard of owning your audience. We saw the TikTok ban back in, was it January? TikTok was dark for like 48 hours or maybe less. And then Trump said, no, wait. We don't want to actually turn it off. We'll do a temporary ban. It was a very odd moment culturally because there's so much money with TikTok. The economy of TikTok, billions of dollars. But there's a lesson in there, which is you can't put your house on rented land only.
Yep.
Right.
Anything can change. The algorithms, like Google, what was the one that was the famous panda? Like everything changed overnight, and everybody who was making money on their website, they were on page 1, suddenly they're on page 60 for like construction or whatever the business.
Something like YouTube Shorts, for example, and I want to get back a little bit to some of the podcast stuff that you were talking about, but like something like YouTube Shorts where you're just putting a couple like sub 3-minute clip of some sort of long form conversation out there, like the algorithm's going to do its thing, and what maybe would have gotten 50 views as a long form video suddenly gets 2,500 views from YouTube Shorts. And so I think, if I'm an advisor thinking about crafting a marketing strategy, like one of the areas where I would double down on is like, what is the sort of the easiest way for me to create some long form content that I could perhaps cut and distribute algorithmically through these platforms that are going to extend my reach?
Absolutely. Yeah, I call it buffalo marketing. If you want to learn more, go to emilybinder.com/buffalo. I came up with this because I'm really into Native American culture. So they were so respectful of the animal, and they would use every part, like the tendons, the hide, the meat, the eyeballs, the toenails, literally. So you should do that with your content, like you're describing. And then everybody says, okay, great, sounds like a good idea. How exactly do I do that? So you have to find a resource. You hire somebody. Maybe you can use AI if you want to spend the time to learn it, like Descript, and just chop the clips and kind of templatize it. Yeah, but I don't think advisors should necessarily become marketers. That's a big ask. Like, I'm in marketing. I don't also know how to manage a portfolio to the extent that my advisor does.
Yeah.
So this is the thing I've noticed with advisors. They kind of think they should also know everything about marketing and DIY it. A lot of the smaller RIAs do this.
How much do they need to know?
They need to know enough to understand the strategy and why it's important, and then enough to say, I don't know what I don't know. Why don't I bring someone in to help me with this, whether it's full-time, whether it's a resource?
Can I ask you a question real quick about like a case? Give us a case of an advisor you worked with and how they took fundamental marketing principles and saw the impact on their bottom line or in their firm's growth. Because I think that's what a lot of advisors are going to want to hear. Like, okay, Emily, you always come on Outrageous podcast, you say great things, but then I don't know if this is going to help my business. I know getting a couple steaks for people are going to at least bring them to the table and I can sell my product, right? So for those advisors who are like still not totally sold on social or on marketing in general, just run them to like, I met this client at this point. We did X, Y, and Z, and the benefit to their firm was this.
I have a case study in mind. It's actually the latest one on beetlemoment.com. It's Anthony, the one I told you about in Texas. Before I tell you that case study, though, to your point, what's the cost of the steak dinner? Like, you're spending a few $1,000s, depending how many people there, maybe more. And you might close a couple of the leads. The LTV of the lead, it pays for itself. It's not a bad thing to do. And they can be very effective. And maybe you're good in person and you're weird on the internet. But I think with the marketing, it's the same thing. Like, let's say you're spending $60,000 on some sort of marketing campaign or plan. It pays for itself if you close 1 or 2 leads, if you look at the LTV. So it's very penny wise and pound foolish when we think like, oh, I don't want to spend $5,000 a month on this marketing thing. It's too much. You have to look at the ROI of it.
I wanted to ask you a question about like advisors of the future. Obviously, organic growth is shrinking with advisors as a whole, right? So what are the advisors that are going to grow really fast? We call them modern advisors. What are they going to be experts at to continue to accelerate their growth?
Marketing and hiring women.
Ooh.
Here's why.
Okay.
So Kits's 2024 report showed that 41% of high growth advisors invested the most in marketing. I might have botched the exact, like that's the gist of the stat. You guys can go look it up. But the ones who are growing really fast not only invest in marketing, but understand marketing and also are doing rich media like podcast videos. Okay, that's ultimately the number one thing when we look at the activity and the consumption behavior of content on the internet. It's all about short form video right now, like call a spade a spade, and it converts. So there's that. And then the women thing, if we look at the great wealth transfer, right, 30 trillion by 2030 going to women. And I think we need to hire more women so that women feel comfortable hiring advisors, working with advisors, all of that. There is a divide generationally or gender-wise because our brains are wired differently. Women think about money and feel about money in different ways because we're more risk averse and we're also more communally minded, which is why men, like Blair Duquesne wrote that Why You Should Fire Your Male Advisor in the New York Times. I think it was like 5 years ago. And it's tongue in cheek because like she's with Riddles. They're obviously all great advisors. But she's like, if you look at psychologically, women outperform men because they're not actively trading anything and they feel scared of money. So they just let it sit, lose your password. But I don't like the pink washing thing that's going on, which is, oh, we have to speak to women. So we're going to do like the invest her or the her money. It's like her or she. I'm like relegated to this one weird page of your website, which implies the rest of the website's not for me because I'm a woman. So I think just make it all holistic. It's easier to work with people that you feel safe talking to, and money's like the number one taboo, right? So sometimes women, I think, feel like they don't know how to talk about it or that they'll be judged, right? What do you think about that?
I think that we need to create the spaces for women. And I do think that, honestly, women are crushing it right now. So
I know, we're like outpacing men and graduating college, double the businesses are started by women than men right now.
Yeah. We have somebody here, Sienna, that I was just talking to, and we walked over to her desk, and she's been crushing it on the videos of products. So Sienna, shout out to you if you're listening to the podcast. But awesome for Outra. So I definitely think that's a hot take, and I think it's a good take, right? Because the advisor of the future will have to, one, go downstream to like future clients. When you think about the up and coming generation, they're making a lot of money fast on the internet, right? So I think businesses will change. They'll change fast, and women are a part of that.
I have a question for you on this, in this vein, like, because you said two things. You're like, women are thinking differently about it. They're wired differently. When it comes to some of these money topics or conversations, people are taking an approach that's different, and you don't like that.
Right. I think it's being called out too much. So I have a tech startup, and I'm not a fan of the term female founder. Never have been, for a few reasons. First, it's an anatomical term. Like, that's from science class, zoos, barns. Like, it has no place in business. You might say woman founder, that's okay. But then again, why do we mention, I'm not like, I'm gonna go see my male doctor today. I'm gonna go by my female accountant's office today. It's kind of odd. So yeah, I think like, if you just make the whole experience feel friendly to everybody, I don't know if that's making it green instead of pink or blue. I'm half kidding, but when it's this specific event just for women, like I've seen this with startups in tech, like in Austin, when I go to the founder events, they're more useful and interesting and valuable when there are men and women in the room. Like, we can learn from each other. And frankly, who has all the gold? If I'm looking for an investor, less than 2% of funding goes to women from VCs. But they, again, with the investing and the business stuff, the women founders actually outperform male founders. Benchmark Capital did a whole report on this. I'm not saying that men aren't good. It's just there's something to pull a thread on with all of this. Like, it's all related.
I wanted to ask you a question about like the tools that we'll need to use to be able to market more efficiently. So thinking about solo firms, small teams, enterprise levels, right? Like, what tools should advisors be looking into to begin to experiment with a lot of the things you both are talking about, right? Sort of the good website, making social clips seems to be a big trend for you and something that everyone should be doing. Name a couple tools or resources that they can, like, after listening to this, go download and experiment with.
Descript is an easy one. I have a promo code. You can go to emilybinder.com/Descript. Some people call it Descript. Either way, it's a AI-powered video and audio recording and editing app. There's a free version, there's a freemium. It's really easy to use, and you can edit it like a Word doc, which is what's cool. So if I'm looking at a Word doc and they take out the word like a Word doc, it's removed from the audio and the video. Easy to use. I would say you need to spend like 1 or 2 hours on YouTube with some tutorials to get good enough to make something.
Buy a decent microphone.
Oh, there you go.
Another easy win.
And there you go.
Like, audio quality. We're like speaking into like,
We've got the thriller
best.
mic here, the SM7B, baby.
it's like audio quality will immediately turn someone off from no matter how good the content is. Yep. So I think between Descript, maybe a slightly, higher quality webcam, or using your new iPhone, like the cameras on new iPhones are phenomenal for short form video. Like, that's a nice place. That's a totally fine place to start.
As I've said many times, we process sound 10 times faster than the blink of an eye. So the bad audio is discordant to the brain much more quickly and intensely than bad visuals. Like, it could be a blurry video, but if the sound's good, you're fine.
I want to hear your thoughts about just like, you talk about the ecosystem. I think a lot of advisors try to do too much too fast, right? So talk to us about pacing, and a person trying to jump right in probably isn't the right thing to do. But if you could have like an order of operations for an advisor, like, start here, get good at this, put your 100 hours in here, and then move on to this thing, what would be those 3 things?
Yeah. Figure out who is your target. Like, who are you helping? Who are you good at helping? The niche.
And they should have that data based on the people that they work with, or is it like a discovery process that they, of course, every
soul
advisor...
searching, go for a walk. Think about if you have existing clients, what's the common feature between the ones that feel like the best fit or that you help the most? And maybe it's a certain profession or a certain age group. Then the website, the brand, the messaging, even if it's just the headline and the subhead, those are a few words, but they're the most important words, because once you get them right, you understand exactly what you're selling, what you're doing, who you're going after.
And the person who visits the site is like, in an instant, oh, this is for me. This is something that I want. I'm interested in exploring further.
Yeah.
You can't do one without 2, right? Because you have to do that soul searching to be able to write those 180 words on your page that will resonate with that person that you serve best.
That's right. And then once you have that foundation, start creating some content. But if you're doing the content and they don't have, like you said, well, somewhere to come back to, like, I like this LinkedIn post, let me go book a call, and the website doesn't feel good to me, or I'm like not impressed, or it doesn't seem legit professional, what's the point of doing the social media?
You're establishing a foundation of like a marketing system, right? Where it's like, okay, who I'm talking to, I have this website, which is the home base. Now I'm going to go find places to put out my message that sends people to the home base. And then from there, you're giving them this option, which is the next step in an evaluation, or perhaps like a softer sell to something where they can be sort of nurtured ongoing until the right message hits them at the right time. And it's like, okay, now I'm ready to talk to this advisor about my situation.
Or the event happens and they have to talk to an advisor.
Yeah,
right?
event driven.
So
Right.
that's going to more likely be the case. I just don't want advisors to like take this and try it and quit quick, right? Like you see that a lot. It's getting this cycle of making recommendations and they're like, hey, well, I tried the podcast, it didn't work.
I tried the podcast and it didn't work. I put out 6 episodes and nothing happened.
And nothing happened, right?
But that's why people like the steak dinner. It's a much more instant gratification on the, the ROI is I guess in marketing parlance, like the payback period can be much shorter.
It could be, or people could just be getting a steak, right? So it just depends on the advisor. And because I know a lot of advisors that waste a lot of money doing steak dinners and they aren't growing exponentially fast. But when you look at those advisors that hit the message, hit their ideal client profile, and have a landing point for these people to go learn more and experience them, learn about the services, they're growing exceptionally fast.
I'm not making a defense of the steak dinner. I'm just like, I think that's the perception where, okay, if you go for the more delayed gratification route, it's a much more scalable path that then, not only have you created something that it's generating inbound leads from the internet, but it lives on in perpetuity. And so now you're putting out more new content, you're building this library, you're building your authority. Like it's a higher chance that the right message will hit the person at the right time when that compelling event goes down.
So Emily, talk to us about time. You talked about 6 episodes, right?
Oh.
But like, if we're doing this, if somebody's doing this right, they've done the soul searching, got the shorts, or, they know who it is, they got the website. How long should they give themselves? And I feel like I know the answer to this, but coming from a marketer's mind, it won't happen overnight, right?
Are we talking like an audio podcast drops once a week, or?
Let's say we're talking about shorts.
Shorts, YouTube shorts? Well,
that you have made for your CPA client, right? How long should an advisor give themselves? Because this is really, truly not a sprint.
Yeah. If you're starting from absolute scratch, you have no followers, at least a year.
Yeah.
But if you get lucky like Anthony, you've got 10.8K impressions in 8 weeks because he knew exactly who he was talking to. And I said, mention that HEB is, what is it, like 65 billion in revenue, the only privately held company in Texas to be on, I want to say, Fortune 500, something like that. Right? So if I'm an HEB partner and I hear that, this is for me. And we did that with PE, and we did that with Boeing, we did that with EY. If you make a video that's like the top 3 tips to know about the mega backdoor Roth, cool, it's useful, but there's so much content out there that already answered that question. The algorithm wants to reward people who are talking about trending topics or things that are helpful or relevant to a specific audience. And you don't even have to really worry about hashtags at this point. Like everything is transcript, everything is scraped. It knows immediately what the value is. So talk about it in the first sentence.
Well, Emily, like where can people find your stuff? I mean, of course, you've given several plugs today, but
I hope you don't mind that I did that. I find it, I think listeners appreciate it. The gateway to all my businesses, everything I'm doing is emilybender.com. There's Beetle Moment, there's Wealth Voice, and there's me. You can work with me directly. Just go to emilybender.com. I have a podcast there called Voice Marketing with Emily Bender. Mini pod, running since 2018, about 800 episodes, mostly evergreen, 10 to 15 minutes max. So you can watch that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, if you like what I'm saying and you want to learn more.
Awesome. Emily, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening to The Advisor Journey by Altruist. Brokerage-related products and services are provided by Altruist Financial LLC, a member of FINRA/SIPC. Results may vary. Altruist and its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice.